really the cause of a lot of this, in my opinion, well, goes back to the money. And to frame it up, you mentioned the Bolshevik Revolution. So Vladimir Lenin from the Bolshevik Revolution said that the best way to destroy capitalism is by debauching the currency. Through inflation, we can arbitrarily steal. And through a process of inflation, we can break all relation so that the best way to get rich is through gambling and theft. And so the leader of the Bolshevik Revolution, that's what he said. And so here we are. People say, oh, but this is capitalism gone awry. Well, Karl Marx gave us 10 points of communism, and the United States has 7 of the 10. So I would say we're not in a capitalist society. We're actually 70% communism. Now we could debate each one of those. I mean, is it 100% or 10%, whatever?
We don't have enough time for that.
We don't have enough time for that. But the key piece here is that when the money has been destroyed so much that the best way seeming to get ahead is by either stealing or by gambling. So I'm gonna YOLO into a crypto position. I'm gonna rug pull on a DeFi or NFT.
I'm gonna take a parlay on whatever MLB games are going on. There's no coincidence online gambling is picking up right now in this moment in our history.
Right. And then it makes me really greedy, so gambling and theft. So then theft, like most people think like breaking and entering, doesn't have to be that way. I could cheat you on selling you a used car and disclose problems. I could bill wrong hours. I could embezzle from my employer. There's a million ways we can cheat as well, or steal, not just outright breaking and entering. And so when we're in a society where everybody's kind of looking out for themselves, and really in a business, the leader of the company sets the culture of the company. And if you look at, the founding fathers, they all came here literally sacrificing their life for future generations, planting a tree they'll never sit under the shade of. And the people that signed the Declaration of Independence, most of them ended up broken dead. It wasn't good for them. But today we have leaders that only look out for themselves. I mean, I don't think there's any way to debate the evidence that's come out against Biden and the tens and tens of millions of dollars that he's embezzled. And so what does that mean for the rest of the country? I mean, we can see Nancy Pelosi is the best stock picker in the world. We can go on and on and on, right? And I'm sure there's people on both sides of the aisle, they're all trying to enrich themselves. That's why they don't want to pass insider trading rules. Totally. But they're all trying to enrich themselves. And so it sets this culture here. But back to the social issues, it affects the social issues because everybody's looking out for themselves.
I mean, it's a broken system. And if you kind of scale it back and go back enough, you start to realize when the moment we broke the money, is the moment things really started to break apart. Like one of my favorite websites for anyone listening, if you've never checked this out, you should. It's called WTF Happened in 1971. Type out all of those words, WTF Happened in 1971. And what this guy did, Ben Prentice and some of his friends, just took a range of economic charts and they point to 1971, which for historical context is the moment Nixon took us off the gold standard officially. We are no longer backed by gold. We are just pure fiat money. And you start to see a lot of things. In the last segment, or in the last hour, you brought up just how much the police budgets started to balloon starting in 1977, right around this window of time. So you see and can point to the moment where we started to have the money get ruined. You start to see also politicians become millionaires very quickly, very conveniently for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, if you think about, in the book, Thank God for Bitcoin, they made a good case that I really loved. It stuck with me, which is that we tend to think of money as like a tool, and tools could be used for good or bad. With a screwdriver, I can fix my car. I could stab you with it. It's just a tool. So it's neutral. But they said that that's not the case with fiat money, because fiat money that the government creates is not neutral. It's actually inherently evil. And it's inherently evil because it's built on a system of theft. When they inflate, they steal from you. That's what Vladimir Lenin said. A system of theft, a system of lies. So they're constantly telling us that they're tightening when they're really easing, etc. And theft, lies, and deceit. They're constantly deceiving us about what they're doing with policy, how many dollars there are. They won't go through an audit, etc. So if a system is built on theft, lies, and deceit, it's inherently evil. So then almost anything it's being used for, then thereby could also be used for evil. Now, it's certainly okay. I mean, I use fiat for good, but as a system,
Totally.
It's bad. And so then you start to see what's going on in the world. And as opposed to that, like a Bitcoin system is open. It's transparent. It's permissionless. And so it's built, it's trustless. I don't want to say it's truth itself, but it's code. It's transparent, so we can trust it, or we don't have to trust it because it's open and transparent. And so it's like almost like the exact opposite. Now, from a theological standpoint, the Bible calls the devil the father of lies. The only tool the devil has is deceit.
Right.
And God would be called truth, right? And so like you have two different systems. But if we can do that, we change incentive structures. And maybe we go to a world that didn't debauch the currency and destroy capitalism, and we end up in a more of a meritocratic world, meritocracy, right, where we're all trying to do better for each other.
Totally. I mean, at its core, it really just goes down to the government's ability to continue to print themselves out of whatever situation they find themselves in prevents them from having accountability for their mistakes and actions. It's like you're a parent. If your children make a mistake, you sit them down and you explain, hey, like you messed this up. This is how it got messed up. And this is how we do better in the future. You learn from your mistakes. That's what my dad did to me. And that's how I grew as a person. For some reason, though, our politicians are exempt from this. They're able to just, hey, I misplaced $2 trillion on September 10th,
Again.
2001. And when I brought that story up to you, he's like, that's not the only time.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not an insignificant amount of money today, let alone 20 plus years ago.
Yeah.
But there's no accountability for that. In fact, we promote, we give them new titles, we give them new roles in government, and it's as though just, they messed up. Everyone makes mistakes, right? And they are punished and learn from their mistakes.
Yeah.
Everyone except for you.
Yeah. No consequence.
Exactly.
And without consequence, how do we learn? Because success is a horrible teacher. We learn from our mistakes, right? And so if you don't burn your hand when you touch the stove, then you don't know any better. And so when you're constantly able to print your way out of it, I think about like Safety, the author of the Bitcoin Standard. He says that a monarchy is actually a preferred form of government because a monarchy really treats the country more like an entrepreneur.
Right.
And if he mismanages it, then they're run out and somebody else gets to try again. But in this fiat money world, we constantly print.